Elias Cade was not a hero. At least that's what he told himself every day. He lived alone in a small metal dome on the cold moon of Charon, far away from Earth, from war, and from people. Life on the mining outpost was quiet, boring, and most of all safe. That's exactly how Elias liked it. The outpost wasn't much. Just a few workers, old machines, and a lot of silence. The sky was always black, and the ground was full of dust and frozen rock. But it was better than being on the battlefield again. Elias had left that life behind. He worked as a maintenance tech, fixing broken cables and keeping the life support running. No one asked questions, and he didn't give any answers. The others knew he had a past in the Terran Military Legion, but no one dared to talk about it. He had a look in his eyes, the kind of look that said, "Don't get close." On this day, Elias was out on the surface, walking carefully in his old EVA suit. He had received a signal about a malfunctioning antenna near the outer zone of the dome. It was a simple job. He had done it 100 times before. As he moved over the ridge, the static in his comes crackled. "Probably just solar interference," he muttered. His voice echoed inside his helmet. He tapped the panel on his wrist to reset the signal. That's when he saw it, a strange shimmer in the air just a few meters ahead. His hand moved to the small pistol on his hip. No one should be out here, not without a signal. Not alone. He crept closer. Suddenly, 2 flashes of movement appeared from behind the rocks-armed figures, wearing black armor that didn't belong to any Earth faction. They were fast, and they were chasing something. No dash. Someone. A figure in a silver cloak ran over the ridge, stumbling. The 2 black armored hunters closed in. One raised a glowing rifle. Elias didn't think. Old instincts kicked in. He aimed. Fired. The first shot hit the rifleman in the chest. The armor sparked, and the figure fell. The second hunter turned, surprised. Elias rolled to the side and shot again. Another hit. The second attacker collapsed, twitching silence. The cloaked figure turned slowly, breathing hard. Elias raised his gun again, just in case. Then the figure pulled back their hood. His breath caught. She had smooth cobalt blue skin, silver glowing eyes, and long hair tied into braids. There was a strange crown made of crystal and metal woven into her hair. She didn't look scared. She looked calm, strong-alien. She stared at him for a moment, as if studying him. Then in perfect English she said, "Thank you. I was hoping I would find you here." Elias blinked. "Do I know you?" She tilted her head. "No, but I know you. You are Elias Cade, former Legion engineer. War hero. Outcast. Hiding here on the edge of the system." He lowered his pistol slightly. "You seem to know a lot." She nodded. "I've come along. Way across stars, through danger, for you." Elias frowned. "Why?" She stepped closer. "'Cause you are not who you think you are," he snorted. "Lady, I'm just a tired man who fixes machines." She smiled faintly. "You are more than that, Elias. Much more." He sighed and looked down at the 2 dead attackers. Their armor was still glowing faintly. Who were they? Assassins. She said, "Sent to stop me from reaching you." "Why would anyone want to stop you from reaching a nobody like me?" She looked straight into his eyes and said, "Because you are the last living descendant of the Zerai royal bloodline. If you live, everything changes." They hurried back to the outpost, keeping low and quiet. Elias kept looking around, half expecting more attackers. The woman walked beside him without fear. She moved like a soldier. She didn't ask for help. She simply followed. Once inside the airlock, Elias removed his helmet and looked at her. "You gonna tell me your name?" "Now." She nodded. "I am Princess Leia of the Zerai Imperium." Elias blinked. "Princess, yes. Of what?" But she looked at the stars through the window. "Of an empire that is dying." Poured 2 cups of recycled coffee and sat across. From her, his small room was filled with wires, tools, and old tech. It wasn't much, but it was his. "You're telling me I have alien blood?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes. Long ago, a member of my bloodline fled the Imperium." She hit on Earth. Her children lived as humans. You are the last of that hidden line. It's impossible. She handed him a small crystal device. When he touched it, it glowed and showed a spinning DNA strand. 2 lights merged human and Zerai. A match. Elias stared at it. This has to be a mistake. It is not, Luria said. You are found. Others will come. Not all will be friendly. Like the guys who tried to shoot you? She nodded. They belong to the Chancellor. He wants to keep power. Your existence is a threat. Elias rubbed his face. I just wanted a quiet life. Then you should not have been born royal. He stood up, pacing. You expect me to? Go with you? To what, lead a kingdom? No. I came only to warn you. And to protect you. Why risk your life for someone you don't even know? She looked at him, voice soft but firm. Because if you die, there is no future for my people. The room shook suddenly. An alarm blared. External breach, said a robotic voice. Elias ran to the console. Damn it, incoming ship no ID tag. Luria stood beside him. They've found us. Can you fight? She pulled back her cloak to reveal a small energy. Blade I can. Elias grabbed his toolkit and pistol. Then let's give them a proper welcome. Outside, in the cold shadow of Karin, a sleek black dropship landed. 5 armored soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. They didn't expect a fight. They were wrong. Elias used the mining rig's crane to drop a full cargo container on 2 of them. Luria charged with her blade, moving fast and precise. The Zariah weapon cut through armor like paper. Elias shot from behind cover, aiming true. 1 more down. The last soldier tried to run. Luria threw her blade. It clean, breathing hard. Elias looked around. The ground was littered with sparks, blood, and smoke. He turned to her. This isn't over, is it? She shook her head. No, it has just begun. Back inside, Elias activated his old ship's systems. It hadn't flown in years, but he had always kept it in shape. Just in case you're serious about this, huh? He asked. Luria nodded. You are part of something bigger now, Leah sighed, looking out at the stars. Guess I don't get to be a nobody anymore. No, she said. You were never just a nobody, the ship's engines hummed. Elias sat in the pilot's chair and glanced at her. All right, princess, let's see where this rabbit hole goes. Just like that, the outpost was behind them, lost in the black. But for Elias Cade, everything was just beginning. The ship shook as it left Karin's orbit. Old metal creaked, engines growled, but Elias kept a steady hand on the controls. He hadn't flown in years, but it came back to him like an old song. Beside him, Princess Luria sat quietly, eyes focused on the screen. She was calm even after the fight. Elias glanced at her. You always that quiet after people try to kill you? She looked at him and gave a small smile. Only when I survive. Elias chuckled. Great, that's comforting. Outside, the window stretched as they entered sublight speed. The Shipan Old Terran Courier class was not fast, but it had been heavily modified by Elias over the years. It ran on patched wires, homemade parts, and half-working alien scraps. But it flew, and right now, that was enough. In the back of the ship, Mick, the sarcastic AI Elias had built from a mining bot, came online. Ah, so we're running again. Mick's robotic voice buzzed from a speaker. Should I start logging how long until we crash? Shut up and scan for any pursuers, Elias muttered. I missed your love, boss. Luria tilted her head. Is it ... alive? Right. An AI with a bad attitude, Elias said. I heard that, Mick added. They flew for hours through empty space, heading for a point Luria had entered into the nav system. It was marked only as sanctuary. Finally, Elias leaned back. All right. You've got me flying through black space with assassins chasing us? Time for answers, real ones. Luria nodded slowly. What do you want to know? Start from. The beginning? Why me? Why now? She took a deep breath. The Zerai Imperium is falling apart. My father, the last true ruler, was killed 5 years ago. Since then, the Chancellor has taken power. He rules with fear. Many planets have rebelled. The old bloodlines are scattered, or dead. So where do I come in? Luria stood and walked to a small metal case she had carried. She opened it and pulled out a small sphere, floated in the air, and projected a hologram. A symbol of 2 stars joined by a silver chain appeared. "This is the symbol of the Bloodline Protocol," she said. "A Zerai program built thousands of years ago. It's locked by DNA. Only someone of royal blood can access it. And you? I have 1/2 of the code. The other half was lost. We believed it was gone forever. Until now." Elias watched as the hologram changed, showing a DNA scan. 2 strands came together, his and hers. "The program needs both halves to activate," Luria said. "And with it, the holder can command the hidden Zerai, Warfleet's armies that have been in deep sleep for centuries. Sounds powerful. It is. Too powerful. That's why the Chancellor wants you dead. If you and I activate the protocol together, we could take control of the Empire." Elias scratched his head. "I never asked for this. No one asks to be born different," she said quietly. "But you are." The ship suddenly beeped. "Mix." Voice came through. "Incoming vessel. No ID. Fast approach." Elias jumped back into the seat. "Battle ready?" Mix's reply was quick. "You mean, are we still flying a ship held together by tape and spite?" "Yes." Luria looked serious. "We have to run." "Running it is," Elias said, hands moving fast. He turned the ship sharply. The engine screamed. Behind them, a dark silver ship dropped out of subspace. Sleek, silent, deadly. "There." "Firing," Mick yelled. Blue plasma shots lit up space around them. One hit the rear shield. Sparks flew inside the cockpit. Elias cursed. "I hate Mondays." He pulled the ship into a spin, diving toward a nearby asteroid field. "That's suicide," Luria warned. "That's why they won't follow." He dodged between giant spinning rocks. The enemy ship chased, but couldn't match his crazy turns. Luria held tight, watching him with new eyes. For a man who claimed to be just a mechanic, Elias flew like a warrior. Every move was risky. It worked. Finally, the enemy gave up and turned away. "We made it," Elias said, breathing hard. "Your flying is unpredictable," Luria said. "That's human creativity for you." They landed on a small hidden moon covered in mist and metal towers. A signal beacon guided them to a landing pad. As they stepped out, Elias looked around. "Where are we?" "An old rebel base," Luria said. "One of the few safe places left." They were greeted by armored guards with glowing eyes and mixed skin colors, some Zerai, some human-looking. "Ah!" A tall woman stepped forward. Her eyes narrowed at Elias. "This is him?" Luria nodded. "Yes, Elias Cade." The woman bowed slightly. "I am Commander Vera. Welcome." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Friendly for rebels." Vera smiled faintly. "You're not just a guest. You're a symbol." "A symbol of what?" "That the old blood is not dead, and maybe that the future can change." Inside the base, they showed Elias a map of the galaxy. Red zones marked areas under the Chancellor's control. It was almost the whole map. "Your return changes everything," Vera said. "I didn't return. I just got dragged into this." Looked at him. "You're part of this now, Elias. Whether you like it or not." He sighed. "Yeah, figured as much." That night, Elias sat alone in a quiet room, staring at a photo of Earth he kept in his pocket. It was old, faded. He missed normal things. His coffee on Earth, the sound of rain, his old life. But deep down, something stirred. Maybe he had been hiding. Maybe a part of him had been waiting for anything to matter again. Luria walked. "In. You're awake." "Couldn't sleep." She sat beside him. "I understand. The weight of truth is heavy." He looked at her. "You've carried it longer than me." She nodded. "Since I was 12. That was the first time someone tried to kill me for being who I am." He looked at her with surprise. "That young?" "Yes. Royal blood is not a gift. It's a target." There was a long pause, and Elias asked, "What happens if we activate the Bloodline Protocol?" "The hidden fleets will awaken. Old systems will respond. It will give us power, but also paint a bigger target on your back. And if we don't, the Chancellor will continue hunting you. and me. And anyone who stands with us. Elias sighed. So we fight. She looked into his eyes. Yes, together. Suddenly an alarm rang through the base. A soldier ran in. Commander, the data vault has been breached. Everyone rushed to the command center. A screen showed a security. A masked figure was inside the vault, downloading something. Lock the doors, Vera shouted, but it was too late. The figure escaped through a tunnel. What did they steal? Elias asked. Luria's face went pale. The coordinates. To the bloodline activation site. Elias frowned. What's that? Swear. The protocol can be used. A forgotten moon. They reach it before us. They could activate the fleets without you. No. But they could prepare a trap. Elias looked around. Then we need to move now. They rushed back to the ship. As the engines warmed, Mick said, You're doing this, huh? It's running toward danger again? Yeah, Elias said, checking weapons. This feels like old times. Lyria looked at him with new respect. You don't have to do this? He gave a small grin. I think I do. She smiled back. Good, because we're out of time. The ship lifted off. Behind them, the rebels prepared for war. Ahead, a moon waited long with secrets, danger, and something far more powerful than either of them truly understood. The ship flew through deep space, silent and fast. Stars flashed outside the windows. Inside the cockpit, Elias Cade kept his hands tight on the controls. His jaw was clenched. His mind raced. Behind him, Princess Larea stood with her arms crossed, staring at the galaxy map. The moon they were heading to at Variant 7 was a dead place. Forgotten, abandoned centuries ago. But now, it was the key, the bloodline activation site. That was where Elias and Luria needed to go. To activate the ancient Zerai protocol and unlock the hidden war fleets. If they failed diff, the Chancellor's forces got their first hit, could mean the end of the rebellion, Mick. The sarcastic AI broke the silence. Hey boss, sensors show light activity near the moon. Nothing major, could be scouts. Elias sighed. Then we're not the only ones heading there? Larea nodded. We must land quietly. No signals, no mistakes. Elias glanced at her. And once we activate it, what happens? She looked at him with calm eyes. Then everything changes. The ship slipped into the shadow of the moon, using the natural curve of space to hide their approach. Virion 7 looked dead gray dust, sharp rocks, and long cracks that split the surface like scars. But beneath it was something. Ancient, Luria explained as they prepared to land. This place was once a sacred site. The bloodline protocol was designed. Here, it only answers to true heirs. And you're sure it won't explode when we touch it? Elias asked. No, but it will either accept us, or reject us. Comforting, Elias muttered. They landed in a deep canyon, hidden from above. The air was thin, but breathable. They stepped out, both wearing light armor and carrying weapons. Ilias's pistol was custom-built, powered by both Terran and Zerai tech. Luria carried her glowing blade. Ahead of them stood a giant door-black stone, covered in alien symbols. Luria stepped forward, placing her hand on a glowing plate. The door clicked. Place your hand here, she told Elias. He hesitated. Are you sure this thing won't scan me and explode? No, she said calmly. Right. Thanks for the reassurance. He placed his hand on the plate. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground trembled. The symbols lit up. The door opened. A voice echoed from inside the stone. Not loud, but powerful. Bloodline match confirmed. Welcome heirs. Elias stepped back. That was weird. Luria smiled slightly. It accepted you. They entered. Inside, the chamber was huge and dark. Crystal lights glowed along the walls. A large platform sat in the center, floating above a glowing pit of energy. Symbols danced in the air. Luria and Elias walked to the platform. As they stepped on it, a new voice spoke. Final key required. Unity of the line. Luria looked at Elias. We both must give our DNA at the same time. Elias pulled out his combat knife. Blood, huh? Classic. He cut his palm. Luria did the same. Together, they placed their hands on the twin panels. The room exploded with light. Energy shot through the air. Massive hologram of the Zerai War. Fleet appeared above them, thousands of ships, weapons, and stations. Command access granted. Zerai bloodline recognized. Protocol active. Elias stepped back, shocked. It worked. ... Luria stared at the hologram. The fleets will respond only to us now. But before they could speak more, the ground shook again. This time, it wasn't the protocol. Multiple ships landing outside. Mick's voice rang through Elias's earpiece. Elias cursed. They found us. Luria pulled her blade. We fight. Yeah, I figured. They rushed outside. At least 3 enemy dropships had landed near the canyon. Black armored soldiers poured out Chancellor's elite forces. We have to hold them off, Luria shouted. Elias took cover behind a rock. He fired quickly, taking out 2 soldiers. Luria dashed forward, slicing through the front line with glowing arcs. But more came. Elias activated a shock trap, throwing it into the canyon floor. The blast knocked back several attackers. Still more came. Then, a deep voice echoed from one of the ships. Surrender now. You cannot win. From the shadows stepped a tall figure in gold armor. His face was hidden, but his voice was cold and sharp. Luria froze. That's General Korvax. Elias frowned. Friend of yours? No. He's the Chancellor's right hand. He was my father's bodyguard before he betrayed him. Korvax raised his hand. The princess and the hybrid. How touching. If this ends now, Elias growled. If you want us, come get us. Korvax motioned, and the soldiers charged. The battle was brutal. Elias moved with fast, deadly precision, using cover, traps, and quick shots to stay alive. Luria fought like a storm, her blade slicing through metal and bone. Still, they were outnumbered. Elias was hit in the shoulder. He cried out, dropping behind a rock. Luria rushed to him. You okay? Nothing a few stitches and a nap won't fix. Korvax stepped forward. You activated the protocol. But you will not leave this place. Elias struggled to stand. We'll see about that. Suddenly, the sky above them flashed. From orbit, a fleet appeared. Rebel ships, fast and armed. Mick's voice came through. I sent the signal. You're welcome. The rebel ships rained fire on the enemy dropships. Explosions rocked the canyon. Korvax cursed and vanished into smoke, escaping. Elias leaned against Luria. Guess we live another day. Back aboard. Their ship, Elias sat while a rebel medic fixed his wound. Commander Vera appeared on the screen. The activation was successful. Luria nodded. Yes, the protocol is active. And Elias, he is. Exactly who we hoped he'd be. Elias raised an eyebrow. Is that a compliment or a warning? Vera smiled. Both. Later that night, Elias stood alone in the ship's observation room. Stars drifted slowly across the window. He held the crystal, again the one that had matched his DNA to Luria's. So much had changed. He wasn't just a mechanic. Not anymore. He was the last of a forgotten royal bloodline. A key to war. A reason for others to fight or die. He heard footsteps. Luria stood beside him, quiet for a moment. You fought well, she said. I've had practice, she looked at him. You're more than what you think, he chuckled. I'm not. A king, no, she said, but you are a leader. They stood in silence. Then Luria spoke again. There is something else you need to know. Something I didn't tell you before. Elias turned. Go on. She looked serious. The bloodline. Protocol has another purpose. A hidden one. If you and I were to merge the bloodlines fully, the fleets wouldn't just answer us, they would follow us forever. We would become part of the system, bound to it, alive but not free. Elias stared at her. You mean ... like rulers trapped in a machine? She nodded. Yes. Eternal commanders. He took a deep breath. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know if you would stay. He looked at her for a long time, and then said quietly, I'm not going anywhere. The ship moved quietly through space, hidden behind the shadow of a dying star. Inside the cockpit, Elias Cade stood with arms crossed, watching a live map of the galaxy. Red zones continued to spread. The Chancellor's army was pushing hard, crushing more rebel systems every week behind him. Princess Lurea worked with the ship's systems, uploading the bloodline protocol to key allies. Her movements were focused, but her mind was heavy. She had lied half a lie, at least. She had not told Elias everything about the bloodline protocol. It wasn't just a key to power, it was also a trap. If they fully merged the system, if they took complete control of the fleets, their bodies would die. Their minds would be uploaded into the Command Core Immortal, but no longer human. Or Zerai, bound forever to war. Elias didn't know the full cost yet, but he would, and soon, Commander. Vera's voice came over the comms. We have a location. The Chancellor's palace is moving now, orbiting near the black hole cluster in the Varan system.
Yes.
If we're going to strike, it has to be now. Strike the palace, Elias asked. No, Vera replied. We infiltrate. We bring the war to his front door. Elias looked at Lurea. We've been running. Maybe it's time we stop. She gave a slow nod. I agree. Hours later, the infiltration begins. Their stolen ship drifted toward the palace fortress cloaked under a layer of stealth tech built by both Terran and Zerai rebels. The palace was not a simple building. It was a massive structure orbiting a black hole. Energy from the singularity powered its systems. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Inside, layers of security, soldiers, and war machines waited. But Lyria had once lived here before her father was murdered. She remembered every hallway, every blind spot. We go through the old royal tunnels, she said. Elias followed, his gear ready. Eyes alert inside the palace, everything was silent. Silent. They moved quickly through dark hallways. Old banners hung like ghosts. The air was cold, and the walls seemed to whisper. The deeper they went, the more Elias felt like they were walking into the mouth of a monster. Then, in the throne chamber, they saw him. The Chancellor. He stood tall, thin, dressed in black robes with gold trim. His eyes were pure white. His face, calm, waiting. I knew you would come, he said. Guards stepped from the shadows, weapons raised. Elias raised his pistol. Let's get this over with. But the Chancellor simply raised one hand. The guards did not fire. Instead, they lowered their weapons. Luria frowned. What is this? A lesson, the Chancellor said softly. You think you've won something because you activated the protocol? But you only unlocked the first part. He walked slowly toward them. There's no victory in old blood. The fleets are broken, outdated. You think war will save the galaxy, but it won't. Elias narrowed his eyes. Then why did you want us dead? Because I didn't want you to know the truth, the Chancellor replied. He waved his hand. And a screen appeared in the air. It showed something horrible. Zerai citizens. Thousands of them. Hooked to machines floating in fluid tanks. They are the true command, the Chancellor said. My mind is already part of the core. I control everything. You cannot stop me. Lurea stepped forward. You betrayed our people. Saved them from chaos. Elias clenched his fists. You turned them into slaves? The Chancellor's face changed slightly. Cold anger filled his voice. You, Elias Cade, are the true. Danger, unstable, emotional, human. Elias smiled. Yeah, that's what makes me dangerous. Suddenly, he threw a pulse grenade. The blast shut down the palace lights. Chaos. Elias rolled forward, blasting one of the guards. Luria activated her energy blade, cutting through two more. The Chancellor disappeared into the shadows. We have to find the command core, Luria shouted. They ran through the palace as alarms screamed. Inside the core, the command core was hidden deep beneath the palace. It was a massive chamber filled with wires, glowing crystals, and strange machines. In the center, a giant platform floated. This was the Mind Merge system. The heart of the Bloodline Protocol, Hundreds of tubes surrounded II, containing part of the old fleet AI, each one powered by lost souls. Lurea stopped. This is it. Elias looked around. And if we destroy it, we lose the fleets. But if we connect, Lurea nodded, we lose ourselves. Elias stood silent. Then he looked at her. What if we don't follow the rules? She blinked. What do you mean? I mean, humans don't follow systems. We break them. Maybe we can do the same here. He turned to Mick through the communicator. Hey, buddy, can you access this thing? Mick replied. I've been poking around already. Ugly code. Old. Full of arrogance. But yeah, I can mess it up. Lurea looked at Elias. You want to override the system? Not take control? Free it. She stared at him. It's never been done. Then, let's do what humans do best. The impossible. Mick hacked the system. Elias and Lurea placed their hands on the control pads, but instead of letting the machine upload their minds, Mick redirected the flow. The lights flickered. Screams echoed from the command tubes. The AI, systems once filled with trapped minds, began to unravel. One by one, the cores shut down. The fleets across the galaxy went dark. The Chancellor's power died. The Chancellor burst into the chamber, furious. What have you done? Elias pointed a pistol at him. We broke your toy, you fools. You could have been gods. We don't want to be gods, Lurea said. We want to be free. The Chancellor screamed and fired a pulse blast. Elias was faster. One shot, right between the eyes. The Chancellor collapsed. The end of the palaces, the palace systems failed. The structure began to shake. Without the black hole power holding it steady, the orbit collapsed. We need to leave now, Elias shouted. They ran back to the ship. Fires burned behind them. The whole palace cracked. Apart as gravity pulled it closer to the black hole. They launched just in time, flying away as the palace was sucked into the void. Lurea watched in silence as the place she once called home vanished forever. A new dawn back at the rebel base. There was celebration. The Chancellor was dead. The war fleets were gone, but so was the control that came with them. Elias and Lurea stood before the rebel council. We didn't win with firepower, Elias said. We won with choice. We broke the system, so no one could ever be trapped in it again. Vera nodded. You did more than that. You gave us hope. Later, Elias stood outside, watching the stars. Lurea joined him. You could have become a king, she said. I don't want to rule. What do you want? He smiled. A ship, a crew, maybe some peace. She looked at him. And if I said I want to come with you, I'd say yes. They stood in silence. Above them, the stars were bright and free. The stars outside the rebel base burned bright and clear, a quiet reminder of the galaxy's endless possibilities. Elias Cade stood on the observation deck of the rebel command center, staring out at the vastness of space. The war was over. The Chancellor defeated, and the ancient Zerai fleets freed from the cruel control of the Bloodline Protocol. But something inside Elias felt restless. Beside him, Princess Lurea leaned on the railing, her eyes reflecting the distant light of 1,000 stars. What's on your mind? She asked quietly. Elias shook his head. I keep thinking about what comes next. The fleets are gone. The Chancellor's dead. But the galaxy is still broken. There's still chaos. People still suffer. Lurea nodded. True, power isn't enough to change the galaxy. We need something more. A new way. He looked at her and smiled faintly. That's why I don't want to be a king. I want to build something different. Not a throne made from fear and control, but a future built on trust and hope. Lurea smiled back. Then what do you want to do? Elias turned back to the stars. I want to sail among them. Find new worlds. Help people rebuild. Create a new kind of family, one not bound by blood or title, but by choice. Sounds like a good plan, she said. And I want to be part of it. The new crew word spread quickly about Elias and Lurea's new vision. Rebels, former soldiers, scientists, and explorers from many worlds came forward, eager to join their cause. The hybrid prince, who was once a mechanic, and the alien princess who had fought to save her people, were ready to build a new future. Their new ship, the Starfire, was a symbol of hope. It was sleek, fast, and built with a mix of Terran and Zerai technology. It was not a warship, but a ship for discovery, protection, healing. Among the crew was Mick, the AI still sharp-tongued but loyal. Jera, a skilled pilot from a desert planet, fearless and quick-witted. Dr. Selen, a scientist dedicated to restoring war-torn worlds. Kel, a former soldier who had lost everything in the war, but found new purpose with Elias. Together, they formed a family of sorts, perfect but strong. A new mission, their first mission, was to travel to the planet Tharos, a world devastated by the Chancellor's war machines. The cities were in ruins, and the people were starving. Elias and Luria wanted to bring aid, rebuild, show that there was a better way. As Starfire entered Theros' atmosphere, Elias felt a strange mix of hope and fear. Like the planet was scarred, but life still clung to its surface. "We'll start small," Elias said. "Help with food, medicine, and shelter. Then we listen to the people, learn what they need." Luria nodded. "We fight for the people, not for power." Trials on Theros landing in the ruins of the capital city, the crew immediately saw the devastation. Buildings were half collapsed, smoke still rose from distant fires, and the streets were quiet too. Quiet, Elias and Luria moved through the city, speaking with survivors. They saw pain, loss, but also strength. One man approached Elias. "You're the hybrid. The one they say saved us from the bloodline." Elias nodded. "I'm here to help." Man's eyes were full of hope and doubt. "We want peace, but we fear it will never come." Elias clenched his fists. "Peace isn't easy, but it's worth fighting for every day." The enemy returns as the days passed. Ilias's crew worked hard to rebuild. Dark clouds gathered, reports came in of a new threat. Mercenaries hired by warlords who wanted to control Theros' resources. They didn't care about peace or rebuilding. They wanted power. One night, alarms blared on the Starfire. Scouts reported an attack on the settlement. Elias grabbed his pistol. "Prepare for battle." Loretta drew her energy blade. "We protect the people, no matter the cost." The mercenaries attacked with heavy weapons, but the crew fought back fiercely. Mick controlled the ship's defense systems, while Jara flew daring maneuvers to provide cover. Elias and Luria led the ground fight, protecting civilians and pushing back the attackers. The battle was brutal, but the crew's courage inspired the settlers. Together, they fought off the mercenaries. A new hope after the fight, Elias stood among the people. "This planet is yours. We are here to help, but the future belongs to you. It's not to rulers or warlords, but to everyone." Luria stepped forward. "We will not abandon you. Together, we will rebuild." The crowd cheered. Elias looked at Luria. "This is only the beginning." She smiled. The start of a new legacy. Legacy of the hybrid king back on the Starfire. Elias and Luria stood side by side. "People will ask if you are a king now," Luria said. Ilya shook his head. "No king. Just a man who chose to fight for what's right." Luria reached out, holding his hand. "A leader, then. The leader this galaxy needs." Elias looked at the stars, feeling the weight of the future, but also its promise. Together they would sail the stars, not as rulers, but as protectors of hope.